Hey guys, this is Tauna. Today we're going to be talking about cards you should be getting for the upcoming Aetherdrift Precons. Today we had the official announcement that there was going to be 2 new Precons with Aetherdrift. We'll talk about what they are exactly in a bit. While we don't know the exact mechanics, I think it's pretty easy to figure them out based off of the description and the little, like, you know, 2 sentences we've got here, and we're going to be going through cards that to pick up that I doubt are going to be reprinted and that may spike up with the new set and precons. One thing to kind of keep in mind that I think that people will potentially miss out and, you know, kind of overlook these is that while these precons are coming with Aetherdrift, I don't think that they are going to be actually Aetherdrift themed so much because they don't mention vehicles anywhere in here. Obviously, you know, the Sahili one up here does mention about artifact creatures and stuff, and the one down here mentions about mummy army. Like, there's nothing about vehicles here or, you know, mounting up or anything along those lines, which is really interesting. So I think we're going to have some precons here that are very loosely tied into Aetherdrift because of the fact that we've got, you know, Amonkhet and then formerly Kaladesh, I can't remember the new name at the moment, as, you know, these 2 big factions within Aetherdrift, but I don't know if they're necessarily going to be actually Aetherdrift, like with vehicles and everything. So before we get into it though, make sure you guys subscribe. We've got instant speed news here. I did the video, I think it was like within half an hour of the new stuff coming out. You know, fun deck text, precon coverage, all that kind of stuff. 79% of the people who are watching, or, you know, the watch time, are coming from people who aren't subscribed at the moment. So make sure you guys subscribe. We're trying to hit 25k by the end of 2025. That's, you know, a year away. Let's get off to the best start that we can. And make sure you guys go down to the description and click the link down there to support the channel. Pick up the cards here from TCG Player. So getting into it, the first deck here is the Temur Energy one. So this is likely based around energy, as it's called, you know, living energy. And then it says stockpile energy. I think it's pretty fair to say that there's going to be a lot of energy stuff in here. And then we've also got artifact creatures here because it mentions, you know, charging up artifact creatures, and, you know, we're going to have artifacts in it overall. So this is a Temur based one here. So going through ones, we've got the Is It Generatorium. This was from Modern Horizons 3. It's just going to allow you to get a whole bunch of card draw as well as just generate more energy. We've got the Lightning Runner. So this was a mythic from, I think it was the original Aether Revolt set. It's got double strike, it's got haste, it's a pretty expensive card at the moment, and I can't see it getting reprinted and definitely going to go up. It's kind of like on the fence, like it could get reprinted and they kind of rephrase it as, like, you know, someone running in the race, but I don't think so, just because of quite how strong it is and the fact that it's going to synergize so well with this deck. It's got, you know, it's going to attack, it's going to create some energy, and then you can pay energy to untap, and, you know, can get infinite combos with this really easily. Gontai's Aether Heart was just reprinted within, I think it was the Modern Horizons 3 Aether set, the energy deck there. So I don't see it getting reprinted again here, and it's just a really great one to synergize with this. Primal Prayers got printed within Modern Horizons 3, and I don't think this is going to get reprinted either. But it's got an infinite combo here with this Green Belt Rampager. It's going to, you pay 1, and then you can just continuously do this. You just continuously are able to get this. You get infinite ETBs, and because there's, like, you know, some that are like whenever something enters, create energy and stuff, this is going to go really, really well with that. We've got Aether Refinery from Modern Horizons 3 Commander. If you get 1 or more energy, you get twice that many. And then you can also pay energy to create an Aetherborn creature token. We've got the Bespoke Battle Wagon, again from Modern Horizons 3. I don't think they're going to reprint any Modern Horizons 3 stuff here, which I think makes it a pretty safe bet to pick up this stuff. So it's got just tap, create 2 energy. Like, you get 2 energy. And then you can pay energy to tap creatures, draw cards, or you can pay energy to turn it into an artifact creature if you wanted to as well, just to animate it. We've got Panharmonicon. Now, this one could get reprinted here, but I'm kind of on the fence. Like, they reprinted it within the Jeskai energy deck from Fallout, but it's kind of like it could get a reprint here, or it could, like, they want to keep it to keep going up in price. Either one I could see. I doubt they reprint it though, in my opinion. We've got All Will Be One. So I don't think they'll reprint this because, it's a big storyline one. It's a mythic from All Will Be One. And it's just a crazy great card in this deck because of the fact that you're going to be able to create a whole bunch of energy with it. And then each time you create that energy, you're going to deal damage to people, if you wanted to deal creatures or whatever. And then when you combine it with stuff like, this infinite here, where it's creating infinite energy, you are spending that energy to do this infinite loop, but just creating that energy alone means that you're going to be able to deal in infinite damage with All Will Be One. We got Flame Shadow Conjuring. It doesn't suit the deck at all in any way really, but it is going to be really strong in this because of the fact that so many energy based cards have really good ETBs that usually create energy. So that's going to be able to copy those, and then now you're getting, essentially a 2-for-1 for the cost of paying 1 extra red. Cyber Drive Awakener. So obviously we know that there is a bunch of artifact creatures within this deck. They literally say, artifact creatures there, even if it's vehicles alone, it's fine. This goes so well with artifact creatures or with vehicles, and with both, it's going to be even better. So you can do a lot of really great stuff with this. It's from, New Capenna Commander, I believe, and I don't think it'll get reprinted because of the fact that it is Cyber Drive. And if they want to keep the precon themed around Kaladesh and Energy, that doesn't really suit here. We've got Urza, Lord High Artificer. Again, I doubt they reprint him at all, but he's just going to be creating this really great, strong construct there. And then on top of that, you've also got the fact that you can tap your untapped artifacts, whether you're going to be creating treasures, whether you're creating clues or whatever, or if it's just, your artifact creatures that you've got there. Turning all those artifact creatures potentially into mana dorks is going to be great, especially if you've got some of the stuff that creates a bunch of Thopters as well. We've got Storm the Vault. They don't reprint double-sided cards within precons, and this is one of the strongest if you've got an artifact-based deck because it just, flips into essentially a Tolarian Academy. We've got Mechanized Production. I think that in a deck that is going to have artifact creatures, I don't think they will give you a card that's going to be able to continuously create more of those artifact creatures. In one that's creating clues, treasures, etc., I think that they'd reprint it with that. But artifact creatures, I don't think they want you to be able to double those, so I doubt this gets a reprint there. We've got Crawling Scrawler. I always pronounce that wrong. Scrolling Crawler. So this was from Foundations, and it does allow people to draw extra cards, but it's also going to make it so that you're dealing damage with each one of those. It's a really cheap kind of punisher for that, as well as a card that you can put down at the start to create a little bit of a, hey, look, I'm working for you guys a little bit here with this one card. Ignore all that damage that you're taking from it, and every time you draw on any person's turn, you're taking damage. Yeah, we've got March of Progress. This one, I'm more leaning towards them kind of reprinting, but I don't know because it's also just so incredibly strong. It's obviously, a big draw from that Urza precon, I believe it was from, the Brotherhood Urza precon. But being able to do this within a deck that is going to have a bunch of artifact creatures, it's just going to be crazy, crazy great. We've got Sharding Sphinx from March of the Machine Commander here, making it so that each of your artifact creatures, whenever they deal combat damage, you're going to create a blue Thopter creature token. There's going to be stuff that is whenever artifacts enter or whenever, artifact creatures enter. This is going to be relatively strong with that. We've got Cyberman Squadron and then also Cyberman Patrol. These ones here are a 0.1% chance that they get reprinted. Oh man, these are going to be so bonkers in this deck. If you have not picked these up by now, you need to pick them up. Non-legendary artifact creatures have Myriad. Imagine your strongest artifact creature, even if it's a token, right? Imagine that Urza's token. It all of a sudden has Myriad, and now you're going to create, 5 of them. And then also there is stuff that is whenever an artifact leaves the battlefield, do this. It's going to trigger those as well. Or give them a flick, so even if they get blocked, they're still dealing damage to people. It's Ah, it's so good. Vorinclex as well. Thank you to Jack John Jackson for bringing this one up. I wasn't sure about bringing him up just because of how strong he is, and I thought that he was relatively obvious. But when you are creating energy, you are putting energy counters on yourself. Now you are doubling all of those energy counters. You gain 3 energy. No, you're gaining 6 energy. You're gaining, 1 energy at a time. You're still gaining 2 energy at a time. It is just going to absolutely pop off, as well as the fact that you're going to prevent other people from getting counters as well, which can be really great. So, prevent people from gaining, whatever energy counters, experience counters, etc., etc. It could be really strong with those. So the second one here we've got is the Embalm deck. So this is likely based around, it's called Eternal Might. It's likely based around Embalm / Eternalize, right? So therefore you're creating tokens, you're exiling cards from your graveyard to create tokens of those creatures that are like 4/4s and stuff. You've also got cycling on top of that with the part that it says about here burning through your cards. That's easily cycling, so discarding your cards and stuff like that. And then you've got zombies on top of that because it specifically calls about growing your mummy army. And in, non-acorn stuff, mummies are considered zombies. So this is obviously, Esper as well. So you've got your white, your blue, and your black. So getting into it, Aven Wind Guide, a huge one. So this is Embalm. So this was the original version of it. And then they created Eternalize later on. So this is going to give anything that you've embalmed or eternalized, because that's, you've got the card in your graveyard, you exile that card, you create a token copy of it, except it's a, zombie with no mana cost usually. So now you get to do that, and then all of them, thanks to this card, are going to have flying and vigilance. It's just a big win con. You've got Vizier of the Anointed. You get to tutor up a card that has either Eternalize or Embalm, tutor it into your graveyard. And then also whenever you activate an Eternalize or Embalm, which, potentially the commander will, I could not see this commander not giving all of your cards Eternalize and Embalm, right? Very similar to how you've got like Aminatu, the new Aminatu, giving all of your cards Miracle. He's going to probably give all of your creatures Embalm / Eternalize in your graveyard. So you get to draw cards with all of those. You got Nesting Dovehawk. There is a 0.1% chance, again, that this one gets reprinted because it doesn't suit at all unless they make a, I don't know, wrap some toilet paper around it or something like that. At the beginning of your do like a, I don't know, Halloween-esque kind of version of it. At the beginning of your upkeep, you get to populate. So now you've got these big creatures because they're token copies, essentially, of the card from your graveyard. And now you get to populate them. As well as the fact that it gets buffed up each time you create a creature token. So strong. You've got Mondrak and Ojatark. I don't need to go into depth with these two, why they're here. They're going to double them. You've got Anointed Procession as well. That's not going to likely get a reprint. These guys, double the tokens, triple the tokens, especially Ojatark. Ojatark is going to be the strong one here as well, because of the fact that each of these tokens you're creating are all creature tokens. This is, again, assuming that it has Embalm Eternalized. It's very likely to. You get to triple all of them. It's so strong. You got Campbell Profiteering Mare. He has slowly been going up in price after OTJ. And, oh man, in this deck, it's going to be so sweet. Because you're going to create tokens of other people's tokens. And then also, whenever a token enters the battlefield under your control, you're burning each person. Like, you're making each person lose life and you gain life. You got God Emperor Okatra. Very likely could get a reprint, but also I'm kind of on the fence as to whether they do or not, because it's kind of like, tied to War of the Spark and stuff. It's got Double Strike. It's got whenever you cast a creature, create a zombie, and then when it dies or is put into exile from the battlefield, you can put its owner, you may put it into its owner's library third from the top. So if you've got stuff that, makes use of sacrificing everything, you could, sacrifice it, put it back in, bring it back out later. We got Bone Misser. I doubt this one gets a reprint. It's so expensive. I am so surprised it's so expensive. Whenever you discard a creature card, which, if you're cycling stuff, this goes really well with cycling because, when you cycle a creature, create a zombie. When you cycle a land, add 2 black. When you cycle a non-creature, non-land, draw a card. It says discard, obviously, but that's how cycling works. You've got Aetherdrift. He's going to give all of your zombies vigilance. So, you know, all of those eternalized, embalmed creatures, vigilance. And then whenever another legendary you control dies, you get to create a token copy of it. Except it's not legendary. So it can die, go to the freaking graveyard, right? You create a token copy of it. Then you can eternalize that one. It comes out as a token copy of it. But that one's legendary. But the original one's, the one that Ratabragic creates, is not. You got Defiled Crypt. Whenever one or more cards leave your graveyard, create 2/2 black horror. Really strong when you're only likely going to be eternalizing one or two things per turn. The Scarab God synergizes insanely well with this because he is essentially giving all of the cards in your graveyard that eternalize as well. So even if this deck doesn't give everything eternalize or, eternalize, he's going to do it for you. So it's essentially potentially a secondary commander here, right? As well as synergize as well with your zombies too. We got Gissa the Hellraiser, giving all your zombies +1/+1 and menace, and then also whenever you commit a crime. There is a bunch of stuff that you could commit a crime with, even if it's like whenever a card leaves your graveyard, deal damage to one target opponent or target creature or whatever. This is going to synergize well with it. She is already strong. You get to create more zombies. You get to buff up whatever zombies you create as well. You got Ripples of Undeath. I will be preaching this card until the end of the earth, but you want your cards that you want to eternalize and embalm into your graveyard. This helps you do it, as well as if something goes in there that you don't want in there, pay 1, 3 life, bring it back into your hand. Essentially, additional card draw. The newly reprinted Liliana within Foundations, again, so synergistic. Whenever a creature you control dies, boom, really great. Create zombies, really great. Make people sacrifice stuff, really great. We've got Warren Soul Trader, a zombie that also creates treasures and sacks other things. Really strong already. Modern Horizons 3, data gets reprinted. Cleaver Scab. Pay 3. I actually really love this one because you're going to pay 3, you're going to tap it, you're going to sacrifice one of your embalmed things. Now you get to create 2 token copies of that embalmed thing. So strong. We got Tormod the Desecrator. Whenever something leaves your graveyard, create a zombie. Really, really great because now anytime you embalm / eternalize something, now you're creating a zombie. We got Dying to Serve. Whenever you discard something, so whenever you cycle something, create a zombie. Currency Converter. Now whenever you cycle something, you get to exile that from your graveyard. Keep in mind it does hit your graveyard, so that's great. It still counts as discarded. You discard it. Now you get to exile it from your graveyard. Now you can tap it to put that card back into your graveyard. So great with so many things because as long as you're not cycling more than one thing per turn, it's going to be okay. Even then you could have something that lets you untap it or whatever. But now whenever you cycle a land, you also get to create a treasure. So it's essentially paying for itself. Or just create a black rogue that you can throw at things. Tortured Existence. Great card. This is probably one of my friends, Jack John Jackson's favorite cards of all time. You pay black, you choose discard a creature card, and now you get to bring something back to your hand. A target creature back to your hand. So now you get to, get procs off discarding things, bring something back from your graveyard if you don't want it to be embalmed / eternalized, and boom. We've also got Wizard Class. A bunch of the things that are cycled and then you draw a card. Going to be great here. No maximum hand size is good. Put +1s onto things is good. Draw extra cards is always good. So thoughts, let me know what you guys think. If you're starting to prepare for Aetherdrift, I think the best part about this and the most important part to think about this is that these precons are not necessarily going to be Aetherdrift themed. They are themed around 2 of the teams from Aetherdrift, but they are not necessarily, race car themed or vehicles or whatever. They could end up being, don't get me wrong, I could be wrong about that. But to me, looking at them, I don't think that they necessarily are. But let me know what you guys think. I hope you guys had a wonderful day and goodbye.